What if there was a compound that could repair a torn tendon, heal a damaged gut lining, and reduce systemic inflammation, all by amplifying your body's own repair machinery? Not a drug designed in a lab to override your biology, but something derived from a protein your stomach already makes. Not medical advice. BPC-157 is a research peptide, not FDA approved for human use. Consult a qualified physician before considering this. BPC-157 stands for Body Protective Compound. So what is BPC-157 actually doing in the body? A few things, and they're interconnected. First, it upregulates growth hormone receptors. This isn't the same as injecting growth hormone. BPC-157 makes your tissues more sensitive to the growth hormone signaling your body is already running. That's a meaningful distinction. You're not flooding the system, you're improving the reception. Second, it promotes angiogenesis, the formation of new blood vessels. Tendons and ligaments are notoriously slow healers, partly because they have poor blood supply. BPC-157 helps build that vascular infrastructure into the injury site, which accelerates nutrient and oxygen delivery to tissue that desperately needs it. This is one of the core reasons it gets attention in injury recovery. Third, it activates something called the FAK-Paxilin pathway. This is a cellular signaling pathway that plays a direct role in tendon and ligament cell migration and healing. When that pathway is activated, the cells responsible for rebuilding connective tissue move more efficiently toward the injury. Think of it as clearing traffic on the repair highway. Fourth, it modulates nitric oxide. Nitric oxide regulation affects blood flow, vascular tone, and inflammation signaling. BPC-157 appears to have a balancing effect here, not just cranking nitric oxide up or down, but helping normalize it in injured or inflamed tissue. And fifth, and this is where it gets particularly interesting for people with gut issues, BPC-157 interacts with the enteric nervous system, the network of neurons lining your digestive tract. This is part of why it has protective and regenerative effects on the gut lining. It's not just a generalized anti-inflammatory, it's doing something specific to the gut's own repair system. When you're looking at BPC-157 products, you'll typically see two forms, BPC-157 acetate and BPC-157 arginate, sometimes called the standard or salt form. The arginate form, also written as BPC-157 with an arginine salt, is the more commonly researched version, and it's what most of Sikiric's published work used. The acetate form is slightly more stable under certain storage conditions and has a marginally different pH profile. But for practical purposes, the biological activity is considered equivalent. If you're sourcing this, either form is generally acceptable. What matters more is purity and third-party verification, which we'll come back to. Here's where I want to spend some real time, because this distinction genuinely matters, and most content on BPC-157 glosses right over it. There are three primary ways to take BPC-157: subcutaneous injection, intramuscular injection, and oral capsules. And they are not interchangeable in terms of what you're trying to accomplish. Subcutaneous injection, just under the skin, is the most common route for systemic effects. If you're dealing with a knee injury or shoulder pain, you can inject subcutaneously near the injury site or in a neutral site like belly fat for more systemic circulation. This gets the peptide into the bloodstream efficiently and delivers it to tissues throughout the body. This is the go-to for connective tissue injuries, inflammation, and general recovery protocols. Intramuscular injection goes directly into the muscle, and it's used when you want more localized delivery to a specific muscle belly. Less common, but relevant for certain injury protocols. Oral capsules are a different animal entirely. Peptides are notoriously fragile. Most get broken down in the digestive tract before they can do much systemically. But here's the thing. For gut-specific applications, that breakdown is actually fine. If you're targeting IBD, leaky gut, NSAID-induced stomach damage, or ulcers, you want BPC-157 acting locally in the gut lining as it passes through. That's exactly what oral administration allows. The systemic bioavailability is lower, but the local gastrointestinal effect is real. So if your primary goal is gut healing, oral is arguably the right route. If your goal is tendon repair or systemic anti-inflammatory effects, injectable is more appropriate. That distinction, oral for gut, injectable for everything else, is probably the single most practical piece of information in this video. The reported benefits span a pretty wide range, which is actually part of what makes BPC-157 interesting. In animal models, we see accelerated healing of tendons and ligaments, skeletal muscle repair after crush injuries, gut lining regeneration, reversal of NSAID-induced gastric damage, including damage from ibuprofen and aspirin, ulcer healing, reduced systemic inflammation, and emerging evidence of neuroprotective effects in the central and peripheral nervous systems. Some of the neurological research is early, but it's showing up consistently enough that it's worth watching. The people using this in practice tend to fall into a few categories. Athletes dealing with tendon or ligament injuries that aren't responding to conventional rehab alone. People with chronic GI issues like IBD or leaky gut. Individuals in post-surgical recovery, and people dealing with general chronic inflammation from overtraining or systemic stress. The overlap with the research targets is pretty direct. BPC-157 also appears to have a protective effect against alcohol-induced gastric damage. There are animal studies where BPC-157 was able to counteract the stomach lesions induced by alcohol exposure. Whether that translates to a meaningful human application is speculative, but it points to how broad the gut protective mechanism really is. This section matters, so pay attention. Pregnancy. If you're pregnant, this is not the time to be experimenting with research peptides. Full stop. Active cancer. This is the most clinically significant caution. BPC-157's pro-angiogenic mechanism, its ability to promote new blood vessel growth, is part of why it heals injured tissue so effectively. But that same mechanism raises a theoretical concern in the context of tumors. Cancer cells rely on angiogenesis to grow and spread. There is no direct evidence that BPC-157 promotes tumor growth in humans, but the theoretical risk is real enough that anyone with an active cancer diagnosis should absolutely not use this without serious medical supervision, if at all. Anticoagulant medications. Because BPC-157 modulates nitric oxide and has effects on vascular function, there's a potential interaction with blood thinners. If you're on anticoagulants, talk to your doctor before considering anything in this category. More broadly, if you have any active medical condition or are on prescription medications, this is a conversation to have with a qualified provider, not a YouTube channel. Typical dosing protocols run 250 to 500 micrograms per day. For acute injuries, many protocols go to twice daily, morning and evening, at 250 micrograms per injection, totaling 500 micrograms per day. For gut protocols using oral capsules, the same 250 to 500 micrograms range applies, though some protocols use the lower end since you're targeting local tissue rather than systemic circulation. For acute injury use, BPC-157 can often be run continuously until the injury resolves, typically 4 to 8 weeks. For general use or more maintenance-oriented protocols, a standard approach is 4 to 8 weeks on, followed by a break of similar length before reassessing. There's no strong human data on long-term continuous use, so conservative cycling is the prudent call. Storage matters here too. BPC-157 should be kept refrigerated once reconstituted and away from light. The arginate form is somewhat more stable at room temperature than some other peptides, but cold storage is still best practice. BPC-157 is commonly stacked with other peptides, and the most well-known combination is with TB-500, thymosin beta-4. This pairing has picked up the nickname the Wolverine Stack in biohacking circles, after the Marvel character's regenerative healing factor, and the name fits. Here's why they're synergistic. BPC-157 works locally and regionally. It activates repair pathways at and near the injury site, promotes angiogenesis, activates the FAK-Paxilin pathway, and modulates the healing environment. TB-500, on the other hand, works systemically. It promotes actin regulation in cells throughout the body, which is fundamental to cell motility and tissue repair at a global level. And it has a strong anti-inflammatory effect across multiple tissue types. Together, you get local and systemic healing mechanisms running in parallel, which is why injury recovery users report outcomes that exceed either peptide alone. We'll be doing a dedicated TB-500 video, so make sure you're subscribed. That's coming next. Two other stacks worth mentioning. GHK-Cu, which is a copper peptide with its own tissue remodeling and anti-inflammatory properties, pairs well with BPC-157 for skin, connective tissue, and general recovery. And for gut-specific protocols, KPV, a tripeptide with anti-inflammatory activity in intestinal tissue, is often combined with oral BPC-157 for conditions like IBD or significant gut lining damage. Same principle applies here as with any research peptide. The product is only as good as its verification. Look for suppliers who provide third-party certificates of analysis from independent labs. The COA should confirm identity, purity, ideally 99% or above, and the absence of residual solvents or contaminants. HPLC testing for purity and mass spectrometry for identity verification are the standards to look for. Avoid anything with no COA, an in-house only COA, or vague sourcing. Underdosed or contaminated peptides are not just ineffective, they can be dangerous. BPC-157 is one of the more compelling research peptides in the biohacking space, not because of hype, but because the mechanism is genuinely well characterized and the animal data is remarkably consistent across decades of research. The human data is still maturing, and that's the honest limitation. But for people dealing with injuries, gut issues, or chronic inflammation who have already done their research and consulted with a provider, the case for BPC-157 is more substantive than most compounds in this category. The key takeaways: understand which form you're taking, match your administration route to your goal, oral for gut, injectable for systemic. Respect the contraindications, source only verified products, and don't skip the conversation with a healthcare professional. Before you go, this video is for educational and informational purposes only. BPC-157 is not approved by the FDA for human therapeutic use and is classified as a research compound. Nothing discussed here constitutes medical advice. The research cited is primarily from animal models, and human clinical data remains limited. Do not use this or any research peptide without consulting a qualified healthcare provider who can evaluate your individual situation. Marcus Reed is a pen name for educational content creation. This channel does not provide medical, legal, or financial advice of any kind. If this was useful, hit subscribe. The next video is a deep dive on TB-500, which is the other half of that Wolverine stack we talked about. We'll cover the mechanism, how it differs from BPC-157, and exactly why the combination works the way it does. You don't want to miss that one. See you there.